For years, audiences knew him as Serenity in human form, the gentle mentor with 1,000 quiet lessons. But before Pat Morita ever bowed as Mr. Miyagi, he ran a gauntlet of doubt, near misses, and make-or-break moments that almost erased him from the Karate Kid entirely. This is the little-known story of how a comic no one considered dramatic forced Hollywood to look again, and what Marita revealed about the film before his passing. In early 1980s Hollywood, Pat Morita's reputation was crystal clear, funny. He was the laugh-getter from stand-up and sitcoms, especially Happy Days. That success became a cage. Executives wanted a Miyagi with gravity, a war-scarred soul, a patient teacher, a man of weight. To them, the comedian label disqualified Marita on sight. Producer Jerry Weintraub, long resistant to the idea, reportedly shut the door without a meeting. No test, no read, no chance. Marita's name kept surfacing on lists and getting scratched out again. The message was blunt. He didn't look serious enough on paper. Director John Avildsen disagreed. He believed the Karate Kid lived or died on a truthful bond between Daniel and his mentor. He pushed the casting team to consider everyone, especially the unexpected. Eventually, after weeks of resistance, Marita was allowed in, tacked to the very end of the schedule as a courtesy long shot. Marita walked into an almost empty room. No panel of execs, no line of assistants, just Avildsen, camera hoisted on his shoulder, battery pack strapped on, rolling from the second Pat crossed the threshold. It felt less like an audition than an X-ray. At first, Marita was cautious. Then the space and Avildsen's silence let him breathe. He spoke softly about his life, let fatigue shape the cadence of his words, and moved into pages from the script. The pauses did as much work as the lines. A voice emerged, unhurried, lived in, quietly wounded. The very rhythm we now hear as Miyagi's. As Marita reached the door, Avildsen stopped him. "Pat, don't you want to take your script? You might need it." A tiny sentence. A tectonic shift. Someone finally saw him. Avildsen screened the audition for the producers. On the monitor there was no comic. There was a man with history in his eyes. When the tape ended, the room held its breath. Weintraub leaned forward. "That looks like Miyagi, Avildsen. That's Pat Morita, the one you didn't want to read." Doubt cracked. But the studio still wanted proof the magic wasn't a fluke. Marita returned for a series of tests. Each one asked the same question. Can he sustain this? Could he carry pain without pushing? Could he anchor the film when the days got long? Then came the chemistry read with Ralph Macchio. From their first exchanges, the dynamic clicked. A boy searching for direction, a man answering with patience. The more they read, the more trust filled the spaces between words. The crew could feel it on the monitors. A costume test followed. Eon, beard and hair in place. Posture altered, eyes alert but kind. It wasn't the wardrobe creating the character. It simply let everyone else see who Marita had already found. The final screen test stripped everything away. Bare stage, quiet air, camera close. No score, no tricks, just truth. When it was over, no one spoke. They didn't have to. Marita waited at home, bracing for more silence. The call came from Weintraub himself. "Pat, I almost made the worst mistake of my life. I want to be the first to congratulate you. You've got Miyagi." Marita's response was pure grace. No victory laps, just gratitude. Later, he would say he respected Weintraub for admitting he'd been wrong. One scene nearly didn't make the cut. Miyagi's private grief, his wife and child lost during World War II. Some worried it would slow the film. Marita insisted it mattered. Without the wound, the wisdom had no roots. They shot at night, lights low, crickets in the air. Marita didn't perform so much as remember, channeling a lifetime of struggle, rejection, and the weight of history. When the camera cut, no one moved. The set stayed still in that rare silence that follows something undeniably real. For Marita, that evening meant more than any trophy. At the other end of the spectrum, the chopsticks and flybit. On the page, a gag. On set, it became a small poem about patience. Marita played it like a sacred task. Macchio watched, trying to follow. When Daniel succeeds, the laughter you hear is genuine, crew included. Marita loved that the joke never mocked Miyagi. It honored him. Between takes, Marita quietly looked out for Makio, still a teenager, carrying a movie. He spoke about patience, professionalism, and enjoying the work instead of chasing outcomes. The tenderness you see on screen grew from the care they shared off it. Crew members who once doubted the comedian started seeking him out for advice. They called it Miyagi wisdom, half kidding, wholly sincere. By rap, respect had replaced skepticism. Pat Morita knew that the Karate Kid's power wasn't the crane kick or the tournament. It was the relationship, the pauses, the jokes with a heartbeat, the grief that gave the gentleness meaning. He fought to be seen for that, and once he was, he guarded it fiercely. If this behind-the-scenes story moved you, tap like, subscribe for more deep dives, and hit the bell so you never miss a new Hollywood backstory.